Boys in Blue, a heist where you have to get into the evidence room of a police station and steal some gold. Normally, you have to hack 2 computers and get the right fingerprint to get past the vault door to the evidence room. But screw that, we're just going to abuse the game's netcode and desync in. Get the gold, throw it into the void, and void out. Then we run towards the escape van, where the bags are right next to, deliver them, and escape. Now, if you don't know what the desync glitch is, you're probably very confused of what happened and how I managed to get in and out of the evidence room like that. So, let's start off by just giving a quick explanation of what the desync glitch is. Payday 3's netcode is terrible to keep track of your position when you're airborne and sliding. Since it's this terrible keeping track of it, it's very easy to desync your server and client position. You can also very easily desync yourself on command by simply jumping with some momentum, pause midair, unpause, and then bunny hop. Because for whatever reason on the server, you don't keep that momentum when you land, but on the client you do, and voila, you're desynced. Now, while you are in this desynced state, if you mantle or vault something, the game will for some reason drag from where you are on the server towards to whatever you mantled. Now, while your server position is being dragged, if you hit certain objects or visible or invisible walls, they might stop you depending if they are what I like to call solid. And it so happens that doors in this game are solid.
That is all.
So you can use that to get inside the locker room without getting a QR code. The shelves inside the evidence room are also solid, so you can use those to get inside the evidence room. And to get out of the evidence room, well, we used the invisible wall at this whiteboard they added in a very recent patch. I think they added this invisible wall in update 2.2.1, the delivery charge update. Thank you, Starbreeze, very cool. And one last thing to note when it comes to being desynced in this game, ever since the smash and grab update, they made it so if you are desynced like 9 or 10 meters away from your server position, the game will just force resync you back to your server position. So that is a quick explanation on how the desync glitch works. Now, let's get into the run, and I'm going to show you the desyncs I used to skip basically almost the entire heist. So, let's start with the normal difficulty run. For normal, you're going to need 3 bags to get the escape available. So, starting off, just like normal, walk into the police station and open the left door to the back side. In this back area, I decided to use an ECM with speed hack to kill and instantly answer the pager of the guard and also shoot out the camera. You don't need to do this depending on what cycle the guard is on and also where the camera spawns are, but I just do it for safety. Here, I use a desync to set up the starting position to the desync I use into the locker room, because it's very consistent doing it this way. So I'll explain a little bit more detail on how this desync works. As I said, the first desync I used to set up the starting position. So I start in this corner and use the jump, pause, unpause setup, and then I use the momentum I have to mantle in about in the middle of this heater to get the starting position. Now, as the game is dragging my server position towards the heater, I go around this corner, jump towards the bags of cement and mantle them. You want to mantle on the right side of the bags of cement to set up the angle. And here you go, you hit the door on the other side inside the locker room and you can now unlock it from the inside. Here is a simple visualization of the desync where the first aid kit is the starting position and the doctor bag is where you're getting dragged towards. And as you can see, the door is in the middle, and since the door is solid, it stops you and you get it on the inside of the locker room because of it. Now that I'm inside the locker room, I open up the locker with the red keycard in and snag that. And since I'm playing online, the seed never resets when you restart, so I already know it's here from just checking it before. Here I use this corner as a starting position for the desync to get inside the evidence room. Then I mantle this visibility jacket and the 2 railings on top of this box. And with that, I'm able to hit the shelves inside the evidence room that will stop me and put me in there. Although this desync is very precise and it's very common that you get stuck inside a wall if you just mess it up a little bit. However, you can still get yourself unstuck as long as you don't go too far away from your server position. Because if you do, well, too bad, you're stuck. Another important thing about this desync is that we want to try to stay in the corner on the server side where we started. So to do that, you have to move in a specific way that allows you to move correctly on the client side and also keep your position on the server side. So we use the momentum from the initial jump without holding any movement keys. And then when we want to go towards the visibility jacket to mantle it, we want to go towards it at a certain way that makes it so we are going to hug the corner on the server side. So as long as you do the movement correct, you're always going to be in the corner on the server side when you do the first mantle. And then the two mantles on the railings are just to set up a slightly better angle to make it so you actually hit the shelves correctly inside the evidence room. Also, something interesting about this box is that on the server, some of its collision is missing, but not on the client side. So if you climb on top of it and stay there, you will get pulled down and get stuck inside of it. You should tell your friends to climb this box. It will be very funny. Now that we're inside the evidence room, we grab the gold and then do the desync to get out of bounds so we can get out again. So we start in this corner, do the pause on pause setup, and then go inside where the gold is and mantle the table. This allows us to hit the invisible wall where the whiteboard is inside the evidence room from inside the wall and go out of bounds. Now that we have hit it, we throw the two bags we have on us and quickly pick up the last one we need to complete the heist and also throw that one into the void. And then we void out and respawn wherever you spawn into the heist and just go towards the escape. We also make sure we have the van escape in the back of the parking lot of the police station, because when the bags void out, the bags will spawn right next to it and we can simply just pick them up and deliver them real quick. And that is a Boys in Blue speedrun on normal using desync. And as you can see, it's pretty fast. So let's move on to the Overkill run, which is mostly the same, with the only exception is that you're going to need all 6 bags of gold to get the escape available. Although, something to note is that on Overkill, in this area, there are going to be 2 Titan camp spawns. So, depending on where the spawns are and what rotation are on, you might have to ECM them. So here as well, do the desync inside the locker room, grab the red keycard, and then the desync inside the evidence room. Also, just ignore that I opened up the wrong locker first, that's just skill issue on my side. Furthermore, since the guard had a good rotation, we just avoided killing him because if you don't need to kill him, there's no point of killing him. On Overkill inside the evidence room, there are 2 Titan camps, and depending on what spawns you get and rotations they're on, you might want to ECM them as well. Now that we are inside the evidence room, I bag up the gold and throw them towards the corner where I started desync. Also, you might have noticed that I teleported there. The reason why is because I managed to desync myself because a lot of objects inside the evidence room for some reason does not have collision on the server side. And now, just like normal, I'm going to use the desync that allows me to get out of bounds and void out. However, since I need all of the bags with gold, I'm going to do one additional step, and that is to resync myself back into the evidence room before I get resynced out of bounds and void out. So if you notice here, when I was out of bounds on the server position, I threw the bags off into the void, and then I mantled these boxes here inside the evidence room to get back inside the evidence room. Now I simply just repeat this to get the rest of the bag out of bounds and into the void to make them spawn right next to the van spawn in the back. And then I myself am going to void out as well. Now that I voided out, I simply just run towards the van to deliver the bags. Although I take it a little bit slower here, essentially just be safe, because why not? So, just deliver the bags and escape, and yeah, that's Boys in Blue on Overkill with desync. And as you can see, it's also very broken and you can do it very fast. So that's how I managed to break Boys in Blue by abusing Payday 3's netcode, by just simply being allowed to skip most of the objectives. Anyway, hopefully I did a good job explaining what happened and everything during these runs. And I don't know, maybe I will make more of these where I go over heists that you can completely break with desync and whatnot. Yeah, but anyways, thank you for watching, and yeah.